here at the Paradigm section of speakers.
Yeah. So, after almost 10 years, we've redesigned Cinema. Now, Cinema is our entry-level speaker. And I got to be honest with you, Kevin, it's one thing for a very talented designer with good resources to design a speaker with an unlimited budget. Cost no object speaker. You buy good components, good boxes, good crossovers, good designer knows what he's doing, can build a good sounding loudspeaker. It's really tough to design a good, inexpensive loudspeaker on very tight budgets. And that's what Cinema is all about. And we have several models, the 100, the 200, the 400, and the Cinema Trio. All new look, all new profiles, all new finishes, very contemporary, awesome sounding. We've taken the tweeter material from our studio series, the aluminum dome tweeter, and brought it into the, all the way down into our least expensive speakers. The sound is much more robust. There's more bass, there's more output, clearer mid-range. So every aspect of the performance has been improved, and yet the price really hasn't changed that much. So it's still very affordable, and we have all different kinds of configurations, as you can see. There's a Cinema sub now that matches the cosmetics beautifully. So we're really excited about these.
Since a lot of our viewers and forum readers are going to look at these and think bar, and then the next thing they might think is it does like DSP surround stuff. If you didn't have the surround pieces, is that
these do not?
It's designed to go above or below your flat panel.
Exactly, and this just replaces your left, center, and right speakers. This is all left. That's the left channel, that's the center channel, and that's the right channel. So it's basically right. That would be the left. That's the center. And there's the grill off on that one. So yeah, all built into one. It's a very handy if space is a concern. Cosmetics, so you don't have 3 different boxes around your plasma. Yeah.
Great.
So that's all new. Probably one of the most exciting speaker releases we've had in many years is Monitor Series 7. We used to call it Monitor V5, V6. We've dropped the V nomenclature, and now we're just calling it Monitor Series 7. And again, complete redesign from the ground up. Again, we've taken the tweeter from our studio series and brought it down. We've taken the aluminum cone material from the studio series and brought it down into Monitor. We've taken the MDF wood cabinetry from studio and brought it down into Monitor. So everything about this, the box, the drivers, the crossovers inside, everything has been redesigned. The ante has been upped. We've increased the deep bass output. The mid-range is some of the clearest, most natural mid-range we've ever produced. We've taken a couple models out of the line to sort of simplify the mix. We've taken a couple of finishes out of the line to simplify the mix. So you can either get black or heritage cherry. The 11 is now a true 3-way with a beautiful 5 1/4 inch mid-range. It's been a really fun line to introduce, and it's just now getting out onto the street. There's 2 center channels. We used to have 3. There's 2 now. The center 1 and the center 3. They're both 3-way designs, as you can see. That for you. If I can say something about the advantage of a 3-way center channel over a 2-way, if you look, this is a 2-way center channel, right? This is 2 woofers and a tweeter. No matter how good the drivers are and no matter where you cross them over, there's going to be a problem with dispersion that's called lobing. And what happens is the frequency, the highest frequency of the woofer is shorter than the distance between them. And so there's some cancellations that happen, comb filter effect or lobing. And what happens, if you look at it, the polar pattern from above, it looks like an M instead of a nice arc. And we designed the best 2-way center channels you could find, and it still had a bit of that. The way around it is to put a mid-range in there in between. And that way you have a true three-way dispersion pattern. You have a complete arc of polar pattern in front of you. Everybody on the couch, way over to the left, way over to the right, and everybody in between gets the same blended sound all the way across. So it's a much better way to do a center channel. More expensive, of course, but a better sounding way to do it. The other big thing, and these aren't even shipping yet, are the 3 new subs in the monitor line. The DSP subs were very popular, very powerful, and very big for the size of the driver. And that's one way to approach it, is to put a big driver in a big box, put big ports on it, and you can get a lot of power, a lot of bass out of for a particular amplifier size. Today's aesthetics, we've been listening to our customers. These subwoofers are much, much smaller than ever before. They're not ported, they're sealed enclosures, high-powered amps, and this is a direct trickle down from our Signature series. This is the non-limiting corrugated surround. I dare you to say that 3 times real fast. And what it does is it gives us anywhere from 3 to 5 dB more output, because there's much more excursion capabilities. That's what these dimples give you, is the ability to go back further and forward further without distortion. It's patented depending on its manufacturing technique and also on its design properties. Designed in-house, of course. Here's one of the drivers. It's the 10. Die-cast aluminum, heat sinks throughout, and then the non-limiting corrugated surround. That's the 10. And there's an 8, a 10, and a 12 in this series. That's the 12.
Wow,
it's about a third the size of the DSP 3400.
So it looks like they're $649, $799, and $999.
Look at you. Yes, sir.
Now, what's the wireless transmitter thing about?
Well, we introduced that with the new Millennia sub last year.
It's the same.
All of the new monitor subs are going to be wireless capable. What that means is there's a wireless receiver built into the subwoofer box, and you can buy this optionally as an add-on. This will actually feed up to 4 subs in a 40-foot range. It's actually easier to hook this up than it is to wire a sub across the room. You plug the 2 in, you press a button, the blue lights blink, and then it syncs up and you're done. And of course you have to hook up the subwoofer output from your receiver or your pre-pro into the back of here to get the signal, of course, the subwoofer signal. But you push the set button there, the sync button, they blink for about 20 seconds and they're done.
So I get the first thing that comes, the skeptical part of me comes out, and I'm like, wireless? I mean, interference,
really?
Is the sound signal still going to be as good?
This is the state of the art in wireless technology right now. It's actually a Canadian company out of Calgary, and they have the most robust redundancy, latency compensation, and scanning, different frequencies and stuff, and it works at a frequency, and I've just spaced out on what the frequency is, but I don't think it's 2.5 gig. I can't remember which one it is, but they've operated flawlessly for over a year. So
you'd have one of these for each subwoofer?
No, this will do up to 4. This will sync up to 4 subwoofers, if you all carrying the same signal.
Right. So, you hit sync, and then you go to that one, and there's a light, and then it syncs, and you go to your second one, and you just repeat through?
I think it'll sync all 4 at the same time. Pretty sure.
Oh. Wow.
It's like 4 different channels, if you will, in there. Now we'll only handle one subwoofer signal.
Right. Well, that's
pretty cool,
pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So now we have the high end, right?
Yes.
The signature stuff.
By the way, there's one of the new subs with the grill on. Oh, forgot to mention, all the new monitor subs, of course, are PBK capable. And if you don't know what PBK is, that's our proprietary room tuning. It's what's in your Anthem. It's like ARC, except it's just for subwoofers. It's the exact same software.
So how does let's say that I get your. Well, I mean, I saw ARC was on your AVR.
Yep.
Is there a different? Is any different on the ARC there versus the pre-pros?
It's a little bit because there's a lot more memory on the pre-pros. It's just a little bit more robust in the pre-pros than it is in the receivers. But under blind listening tests, you have to be very trained to hear what the difference is.
So can you? That brings up a great question, because there's all sorts of the auto acoustic things from competitors and stuff that are out there, Odyssey, and what's unique about ARC for Anthem versus Odyssey? And there's a lot of people that say, well, you can't even use those things. You still have to do manual configuration to get a wide sweet spot, and it's really all about the placement of the bass speakers more than it is about anything else. Can you help us walk through some of that?
Well, one of the first things that's different about our system is, and some people regard it as a negative, is it's required to have a computer to set it up. We view that as a positive and an indication of how robust the analysis is. You cannot build into a receiver or a pre-pro a couple of chips that will do the work of a 64-bit floating point process inside of a computer. You could. You'd add $1,200 just for that. So you need a computer. You load the software on your computer. The other thing that's different is we have a calibrated laboratory-grade mic with the system, not little plastic little thing that looks like a little tiny volcano or something like that. Each one is individually calibrated so that it's accurate, and it comes with its own calibration file. It won't even work if you don't have the calibration file for it, because it'll know it won't get an accurate reading. So it does a very robust room analysis for frequency, phase, amplitude, of course, and analyzes a minimum of 5 different positions in the room. And you can do as many as 10. And people ask, well, why, if I want to do a sweet spot, why do I need 5 measurements? It has to be able to sort of triangulate the room, if you know what I'm saying. It has to be able to hear the room from a couple of different places, because if you only measured from one spot, it might think that is the only picture of the room. That might not be the full picture. When it sees it from this angle, it goes, oh, I see what this frequency is doing. So it's kind of an oversimplified explanation of that. But so we do a minimum of 5 measurements. Then the computer does all the analysis, and then you upload those correction curves into either the receiver or the pre-pro. And with PBK, of course, you're only measuring the subwoofer. With ARC, with Anthem Room Correction, you're measuring a 5.1 or a 7.1 system.
So is the PBK to be used if you didn't have Anthem Pre-Pro or AVR?
That is correct.
It's redundant if you have...
If you only have one sub, it's redundant. And typically, most of the time, our engineers say you won't need PBK if you're only using one sub. If you're using 2, you want to PBK them individually and then run ARC.
Oh.
How about them apples? And we're running 4 subs in this demo room. And so we PBK'd each corner of each subwoofer, and then ran ARC overall.
If you buy the speaker that has PBK, or the subwoofer that has PBK on it, do you get a mic then?
No, the kit is extra.
You buy the
kit. It's a $100 kit, and it comes with a stand. I don't know if you got a shot of a nice tripod stand. That's the laboratory grade mic on the top. It comes with 2 long USB to mini USB cables. One for the sub, one for the microphone. Plug them both into your computer, load the software, and start. It takes about 20 minutes from beginning to end. And
then I upload the file from the software to the subwoofer.
Yep.
So there's got to be some interesting.
There's a little this one's that little mini USB port there. Yep.
Okay. All right. I've never seen a speaker that you uploaded a configuration
software
file
to, right?
It's
all our subs now have a DSP engine in them, and that's and without PBK, they're EQ'd. The DSP is used to EQ the sub to get maximum linearity out of it, and then also to be able to upload the PBK file as well.
So this is like additional goodness to what I would have with our.
You know, bass is one of the most fun aspects of music and home theater, and it's also one of the hardest to get right. Bass frequencies are totally dependent on the size of the room, the dimensions of the room, where you're sitting in the room, and you know when you've set up your systems, you can set your subwoofer over there in the corner and then sit in your chair, and it's like no bass where you're sitting. What is? And then you move 2 feet, and it's like, wow, listen, it's like pounding me to death.
Yeah.
That's the standing waves and the cancellations that occur from one position in the room to the next. There's the expensive way to cure that is to design, spend lots of money in the walls and the dimensions and the materials that you use and diffusers and reflectors and absorbers to even out the room. The next least expensive way to deal with that in the room is to use 4 subwoofers. The very minimum 2 subwoofers, because what happens now is instead of one subwoofer exciting standing waves and dips in a room, you've got 2 subwoofers that can be used to sort of balance those peaks and dips out. 4 subwoofers, you can really balance out the peaks and dips. And then with PBK, none of that is necessary. PBK will, in the listening positions, average out the response so that the peaks and dips have been filled in. And do we have any graphs out? And you can grab this for your website, but this is a typical response curve. The red line is the measured response of this particular subwoofer, and there's a dip, and there's a peak, obviously. Now, one of the things that's different about both ARC and PBK over Odyssey and some of the other brands is we can actually boost a suck out or a dip. They cannot. So if you've got a big suck out in your seat, when typically there's somewhere between 40 and 80 hertz is usually a nice drop in bass response, and you lose punchiness and that sort of thing, we can fix that. So what you see barely in there is a dotted line. That's the target curve. That's what you want it to look like. And if you look, there's another green line on top of that curve, which is the actual calculated curve after the calculation has been done. So all those peaks and dips have been taken out, and it's laid right. The curve we ended up with is laid right on top of the target curve. It's hard to see in this picture.
You have me now. Now I'm gonna have to get a review
ARC? Have you run ARC on your DTV?
Yeah, but I've never used Paradigm speakers.
Right.
So now I'm gonna have to try to get a review sample to review the 4 subs.
I think we can arrange that
And hook that up. Wow, that's something. Learn something new every day.